I honestly, I wouldn't mind at this point if Caitlyn just started her villain arc. She needs to start putting her foot down because this, like, some of this stuff is getting a little wild. She comes into the WNBA, her biggest life dream to play professional basketball. She comes into the WNBA. She gets a special whistle the opposite way because she's getting fouled and flagrant fouled, and just the defense that they're playing on her is actually insane. Yet despite all that, has an incredible rookie season. And then on top of that, people are using her name for their hidden agendas on both sides. People are just using Caitlyn's name. And then if she says something, it's not enough. If she doesn't say anything, she never wants to speak out about anything. She cannot win.
Caitlin Clark has officially hit her limit. And get this, she's not holding back anymore. The WNBA probably thought they could just use her name to boost ratings and kinda keep her quiet. But now, their biggest star is drawing a clear line in the sand. Clark's recent comments about Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, they've sent shockwaves through the entire basketball world. So what do you think? Did Caitlyn go too far? Or was this overdue? Look, the tension between players and the WNBA leadership has been brewing for weeks. It just totally exploded. It all kicked off with Napheesa Collier's exit interview. Seriously, 6 minutes of pure chaos that pulled all the attention away from the finals. Instead of fans buzzing about the Aces or the Mercury, everyone was talking about Collier calling out Cathy Engelbert, basically accusing her of straight-up lying about Caitlin Clark. Let's rewind for a second. Collier claimed that Engelbert once told her Caitlin Clark should be grateful for the WNBA, saying without it, she wouldn't have all those endorsement deals. That one line, it blew everything up. Fans went crazy. Other players started posting about it, and the league immediately went into damage control. Then, right before Game 1 of the finals, Engelbert tried to clarify things with a long press conference. Let's just say it absolutely did not help.
You continue to express that you are disheartened by the characterization of your conversation with Napheesa Collier. Just again, seeking clarity. Did you in fact say that Caitlin Clark should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything? And do you actually feel that way, that without this platform, players like Caitlin Clark wouldn't be making what they do off the court?
Yeah, obviously I did not make those comments. Caitlin has been a transformational player in this league. She's been a great representative of the game. She's brought in tens of millions of new fans to the game. Proud of what she's put on the court. Unfortunately, the injuries held her back from a full season this year. But again, I'm not going to get into every point, counterpoint. It's not productive here. We're here to celebrate the WNBA finals. I think what Indiana just did was amazing with all the injuries they had and the everything they faced this year, bringing that to a Game 5 in overtime. But yeah, as I said, there's a lot of inaccuracies reported out there, and I certainly did not say that.
She completely denied ever making that comment about Caitlin Clark. Not only that, but she pretty much implied that Collier's version of their private chat was full of inaccuracies. Translation, she basically called Collier a liar on national TV. And that's when everything just spiraled even more. But here's the thing. Napheesa Collier isn't just some random player venting on social media. She's one of the WNBPA vice presidents, which means she's directly involved in all those collective bargaining agreement talks that decide every player's salary, their schedule, and their benefits for the future.
And at the end of the day, she's worried about her. In all of her statements, it's all like, well, I got us here and I should. And Cathy, no one cares. Literally, no one cares. Like how you're sitting right there, that's how we feel every time she speaks. Every time she speaks, us as players, that's how we feel.
So when Cathy Engelbert publicly brushed off Collier's words like that, she didn't just disrespect one player. She insulted a union leader. And that, my friends, is when Caitlin Clark decided she finally had enough. Up until now, Caitlin has been super careful, right? She doesn't jump into controversies. She keeps her head down, just plays her game, avoids all the politics, and lets the chaos swirl around her. But this time, when reporters asked her about Collier's comments, she said something that made everyone just freeze. Her exact words, "I think Fee made a lot of valid points."
Boom.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have a lot of
I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And, I think what people need to understand, we need great leadership in this time across all levels. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history. This league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. I think there's, Fee said it all with what she said, and I think the points she made were very valid.
Just one sentence. And the whole league went silent, because that one line wasn't random at all. It was a clear signal that Caitlin Clark, who is literally the face of the WNBA, was choosing sides. And honestly, can you even blame her? This is the same league that has used her name to sell tickets, boost TV ratings, and promote every single brand partnership imaginable, while also letting her get thrown around on the court like it's some wrestling match. Look, let's not forget those early games from her rookie season. Caitlin was fouled harder than anyone else in the league. She got shoved, hacked, elbowed, and the refs, they just kept swallowing the whistle. People kept calling it physical play, but if those same hits happened to LeBron James or Stephen Curry, we'd be watching free throws every 5 minutes, easily. So when the commissioner finally gets a chance to show she cares about player safety, and instead uses Caitlin's name to try and fix the league's image, yeah, you totally get why Clark would lose her patience. Now here's where it gets crazy. Right after Cathy Engelbert's press conference, she said she'd reached out to Collier to set up a private meeting to clear the air. But before that could even happen, Collier canceled the meeting. She just straight up refused to talk to her. ESPN actually broke that story. And even crazier, Cathy Engelbert found out from the media, not from Collier herself. That's how bad things have gotten. The league's commissioner is learning about canceled meetings from Twitter alerts. And this is where Caitlin Clark comes back into the story. Because after Collier canceled that meeting, several players, including Clark's own teammates like Lexi Hull, publicly supported Collier. They all said she wasn't wrong, and that the league's leadership had totally lost touch with reality. Caitlin didn't post some big statement, but her actions spoke volumes. She stopped reposting WNBA content. She didn't even mention the finals. Plus, she liked several fan tweets that criticized the league's leadership, and fans definitely noticed. People started calling it Caitlin Clark's silent protest. And honestly, that's exactly what it feels like. This isn't just some normal disagreement. This is the biggest star the WNBA has ever had, sending a serious warning to the league that made her famous. It's like she's saying, you can't keep using me while disrespecting everyone around me. Now, before anyone says she's overreacting, let's look at the bigger picture here. The WNBA is right in the middle of its most important CBA negotiation in history. Player salaries are on the line. The possibility of a lockout in 2026, that's real, and ownership groups are trying to figure out how to balance their books while also trying to pay their stars more. The problem is, two of the people at the negotiating table for the players, Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart, are also co-founders of Unrivaled, which is an alternative off-season league. That's where the conflict of interest kicks in. Because if the WNBA can't reach a deal, and the league gets locked out in 2026, Unrivaled wins big. Players would basically have no choice but to play there to make money. So of course, owners and executives are suspicious. They think Collier and Stewart might secretly benefit from a WNBA shutdown. And when the commissioner gets caught up in a war of words with one of them, it just makes everything look even worse. That's where Caitlin Clark's frustration really comes from. She's watching both sides, the commissioner and the players, just turn her name into a pawn in their battle. She's just trying to train, recover from injury, and get ready for next season. And still, every headline somehow circles back to her. She didn't ask to be in this fight, but she's now right at the center of it. Think about it, every single storyline in this league somehow loops back to Caitlin Clark. Ticket prices, TV ratings, sponsorships, even the CBA negotiations. And yet she's being told she should be grateful for what the league gives her. That's laughable. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark way more than she needs them. Her games break viewership records. Her jersey sales top the charts. Even her injured season drew more coverage than the actual final. And still, the league hasn't figured out how to protect her on the court or how to support her off of it. Fans are totally catching on. You can feel it online. Just pure frustration from both casual viewers and loyal followers. Everyone's realizing that the WNBA has one of the biggest marketing gifts in sports history, and somehow keeps finding new ways to mess it up. What's crazy is, Caitlin Clark isn't even asking for special treatment. She just wants fairness. She wants to be allowed to play the game without constant drama, media chaos, and politics dragging her name around. But every time she tries to move forward, the league just throws her right back into the spotlight. Not for her talent, but for controversy. And now, that quiet patience she used to have, it's totally gone. This isn't the smiling rookie from 2024, this is the veteran who's realized that keeping quiet just doesn't help. By supporting Collier, even slightly, Caitlin Clark just told the WNBA, "You're not untouchable." And honestly, the fallout is only just beginning. Players are starting to divide into sides. Fans are arguing online. Even former stars are chiming in saying this might be the most embarrassing stretch in WNBA history. Meanwhile, Cathy Engelbert is still out there acting like everything's totally fine. She's holding these scripted press conferences about player alignment and stakeholder engagement, while the league she runs is pretty much on the verge of collapse. It's why, just a few months ago, people were talking about how this was the WNBA's golden age, expansion teams, record ratings, brand new investors. Now they're wondering if there's even going to be a 2026 season. And let's be honest, that's not on the players. That's squarely on leadership. You can't keep dismissing legitimate player concerns and then expect them to show up smiling for media day. You can't have the most famous athlete in women's basketball feeling alienated from her own league and still expect fans to buy into that weird one big family marketing pitch. Cathy Engelbert's denial might have been the final straw. Because even if she didn't actually say what Collier claims, the fact that no one believes her says it all. Her credibility is just gone. And the worst part, it's not even about who's right anymore. It's about how badly this whole thing was handled. The WNBA let a private disagreement become a public soap opera right in the middle of its finals. And now every headline about women's basketball isn't about who's winning. It's about who's lying. That's why Caitlin Clark's subtle but firm stance hits so hard. She's not screaming. She's not tweeting long paragraphs. She's just letting the silence speak. And believe me, that silence is louder than anything Engelbert could ever say at a podium. The fans feel it, the sponsors feel it. Even ESPN anchors are dancing around it because no one knows how to spin this mess anymore. We're watching a power shift happen in real time. The players are realizing they don't need the commissioner's approval to have influence. And Caitlin Clark, whether she likes it or not, has just become the face of that shift. So now that Caitlin Clark has publicly sided with Cathy Collier, the WNBA is in full panic mode. And honestly, they totally should be. Because when your biggest star, the person literally carrying your league's popularity, starts hinting that she's losing trust in leadership, you are officially in crisis territory. Let's start with the fan reaction, because wow, it's been loud. On social media, fans have basically turned Cathy Engelbert into public enemy number one. There are threads with thousands of comments all saying, "Fire Cath." People are posting memes of her next to that "This is fine" dog sitting in a room on fire. It's brutal out there. And for once, fans from both sides, Clark supporters and Collier supporters, actually agree on something. The league's leadership looks completely clueless. That's how bad things have gotten. Even the people who usually fight over every little thing on X or Reddit are united in saying, "This is embarrassing." Now, to be fair, not everyone is blindly taking sides. Some people are saying, hey, maybe Collier should have kept this private, or maybe Caitlyn shouldn't have commented at all. But here's the thing, that's kind of impossible now. When you're the face of the WNBA, silence gets treated like a statement anyway. If Caitlyn said nothing, people would accuse her of ignoring real issues. If she says too much, they accuse her of fueling drama. So no matter what she does, she's trapped in this impossible spot. And let's be honest, the league put her there. They made her the face of everything. They pushed her into every ad, every promo, every interview. They used her as the main character of this WNBA storyline. And now that the plot's going totally off the rails, they want to act surprised? Please. It's like they didn't realize that when you make one player the entire brand, you also give her the power to shape the public's opinion of the league. And Caitlyn Clark is using that power, quietly but super effectively. You can tell she's done trying to play nice. You can tell she's tired of having her name dragged into boardroom arguments, rival league politics, and those fake empowerment speeches. She just wants transparency and fairness. And you know what? That's exactly what the fans want too. Now let's talk about how this could actually affect the WNBA's future. Because this isn't just some little PR mess. This has real business consequences. The WNBA is currently negotiating its next collective bargaining agreement. You know, the CBA that decides how much players get paid, how long the season lasts, how travel works, all of it. If these talks fall apart, and right now that's looking very, very possible, the league could face a lockout in 2026. That means no season, no games, no paychecks for players. That would be an absolute disaster. And the worst part, it would happen during the biggest growth period in WNBA history. Sponsors, investors, and networks are finally interested. Attendance is up, TV numbers are hitting record highs, and now, right when things are starting to click, total chaos. People thought the Caitlyn Clark effect would push the WNBA into a new era. But with the way things are going, the league might actually fumble that completely. And Cathy Engelbert's press conferences, they are not helping at all. She's giving the same generic answers every single time. We're listening, we value our players, we're working toward unity. You know, the usual corporate nonsense. Meanwhile, the players are tweeting fire emojis and memes about being silenced. There's a complete disconnect between leadership and reality. Even some coaches have started quietly commenting on it. Stephanie White, the Indiana Fever's head coach, has defended Caitlyn before and famously called her a pawn in other people's games. That quote aged perfectly, because that's exactly what this whole situation feels like. A giant game. And Caitlyn Clark is just being moved around without any say in it. Now the funny part, or maybe the scary part, is that the league still doesn't seem to understand how big of a deal this is. They think this will just blow over once the finals end. Spoiler alert, it won't. Caitlyn Clark has changed the WNBA's entire power structure. She's not just a player anymore, she's a brand, an economy, a one-woman media machine. And when that kind of player stops trusting leadership, the whole system shakes. Think about the timing. Collier cancels her meeting with Engelbert. Players start posting about solidarity. Caitlyn sides with Collier. Then the commissioner tries to act like everything's fine, while reporters are openly asking if there will even be a 2026 season. That's not normal. That's a full-blown rebellion brewing inside the WNBA. And you can already see the ripple effects. Sponsors or nerve networks are asking questions. Even NBA executives are starting to whisper about whether Adam Silver might need to step in and clean house. Because technically, the WNBA still operates under the NBA's umbrella. And if things keep going south, Silver might have to make the call that everyone's avoiding, replacing Cathy Engelbert. If that happens, it'll be the biggest shakeup the league has ever seen. And honestly, maybe it's because whether you agree with Collier or not, the fact that so many players feel unheard tells you everything you need to know.